Hello again everyone, it's myself, Jonathan, also known as the PC Genie. As a follow-up to the first part I did about having the condition of Asperger syndrome, thought I'd sort of go into perhaps a bit more detail for you. First thing to bear in mind is that one of the things people sort of get as a misconception of Asperger's is that you have all of these sort of stereotypical traits, which in a way are true. You get, the best way to describe it is a pick and mix. So you get some of the attributes which apply to you, and others which may or may not apply to you. Like in this case, I'm going to be talking about the attributes that actually apply to me. So if there is something I don't mention in these parts, it might be because actually it turns out to be false or somewhat minor, for example. So in this particular episode, we shall talk about logic and literality, as per the title. So yes, for starters, in terms of being quite literal and logical, well, it's something that has been noticeable ever since the beginning, really, right since chapter 1. For example, in preschool, if I was told, this thing you're doing is wrong, I'd say, why? And if it was someone like my mum, then she'd sort of say, you know, don't hit someone because that hurts them. It'd be the same as if someone hit you. Oh, yes, that makes sense. But sometimes I'd encounter these people and I go, you know, genuinely not understanding what's wrong. And I'd say, why? What have I done wrong? They don't tell me. They just say, oh, you know, because I said so. Because it is. I never accept it. It's stupid. You know? I mean, I can't think of any actual examples, to be honest, because they're usually stupid, trivial things that really didn't make much sense, probably almost to this day. But, yeah, suffice it to say, I've always considered things analytically and logically, and also, again, from a bit of a literal perspective. Now, one other example from my childhood is where my mum was just basically saying, you know, the usual sort of thing, I love you child, I could hug you a lot. But her exact words were something along the lines of, I could eat you. And
you're so lovely, I could eat you.
Yeah, and then quite a bit of crying happened and screaming. And then when my mum asked, you know, what's the matter? Thinking like, well, you mentioned he thought my arm was broken or something from being hugged or something stupid. But instead I was just saying, no, don't eat me. That's bad.
No, you said, don't eat me, I'm not dinner, mummy.
Okay, I can't remember, it was so many years ago. So yes, that's an example of something where I was very literal. Granted, it's sort of eased more over the years, so I know things like puns and innuendos and figures of speech more, but it still sort of influences me from time to time. But the same, you know, it was more extreme previously, and it's sort of less extreme now, but it's still present. So, in the same sort of idea, I very much like computers, because you put in the instructions literally. They don't extrapolate and sort of get their own ideas almost in free will from what you say. It's just literally, you do this, it does it. Good. So it's kind of like one joke I've heard is an example where you could have someone who has a condition like mine and their parent or someone says, okay, so go to the shops and get a couple of pints of milk. Oh, and if there are eggs, buy 6. Okay, so there they are, off they go. A few minutes later, they come back, and what have they bought? 6 pints of milk. And she goes, why'd you buy 6 pints of milk? Because they're eggs. That sounds about right. My mum's cracking up in the background because she knows it's true. I'm not even going to edit that out. Suffice it to say, I very much mean what I say. So one thing for example, I have, in my childhood, also had an eye and eye. And I am not even kidding, I'm not even meaning sort of, I like the substance or I have an eye for metals. I literally got a piece of metal stuck in my eye that was going to need surgery. More on that in another video perhaps. But apart from that, I mean, I've been very sort of analytical and logical and considering things literally, what things can I do, can't I do, just sort of pretty much black and white types of perspective on the universe. Although, like I've mentioned, it's had its disadvantages, it's also had its advantages. So one example is, in college, there was this sort of word guessing game type of thing. A girl had their back to the wall, on the wall, basically these sorts of words we were basically supposed to describe along the lines of rubbish or trash, bins, that sort of thing. So all of those words seem to be taken up there with stuff like bins, trash, rubbish, garbage, landfills, all of those kinds of things, and people were just really desperately trying to describe it. It's a sort of a, you don't like it, you don't like it, so it's gone, and she wasn't understanding it at all. It was so vague and ridiculous. So I was looking at the wall. Now, literally speaking, what can I say? So I'm looking at it, and they're all there, all of them seem to be there, and there were these people just there. Oh no, there's no word left to describe it. But then it occurred to me, hold it! There's one word you've forgotten. Just one. Caught you in the trap, teacher. Oh, what is it? Refuse. Teacher gasps. What? Except for one thing. A girl who was supposed to guess it just went, huh? So it took another 12 minutes or so for her to actually get it. But oh well, I tried. On a related note, I hate poetry. I don't mean I dislike the authors or what they're trying to do. No, I like that. Like when people are sort of using creative means to describe the world wars and try to convey meanings to people, but the actual literal poetry, real poetry itself, I really don't like. I mean, I've always been good at English and English language, but, in terms of the spelling, grammar, structure and style of punctuation, and please, if anybody notices any grammatical error in my, my descriptions or titles of my videos, tell me now. Tell me in the comments, because I'm really strict on that stuff. I'm even my biggest critic, to be honest. But although I'm really good at that sort of thing, my grades in English were actually suffering because of these implied meanings and things from stuff like plays of Shakespeare, or most especially poetry. It's like there was one poem that we were supposed to do, and it was called Limbo. Now what you're actually seeing described is there's this person on a ship or something, and she's doing a limbo. It's pretty self-explanatory. But instead, all the teachers were there trying to get all these meanings about abuse and things told to these people and slavery, and I was like going, well, what? Where? Playing games doesn't mean slavery and abuse. But okay, if you say so. So yes, my grades suffered in that situation. So yeah, what do you guys think? I mean, have any of you guys got Asperger's syndrome, or do you ever sort of take things literally, or maybe even gone into a bit of a sticky situation because of such things happening? Let me know, and I'll see you in the next video.